What's this? Another fully sung-through musical set in a historical setting using modern music to show its themes? You sure this ain't Hamilton? Some of my ancient viewers might know this, but I was actually super into Hamilton back in the day. I mean, why wouldn't I? The songs are catchy, the actors are fun, and the story is genuinely amazing too. Though I wouldn't consider myself a theater kid, Hamilton was my introduction to musicals and musical theater as a whole. Annie, Newsies, Wicked, and In the Heights are among my favorites. And then there is Epic, a musical with its Hamilton inspiration written all over it. Epic, yes, that's its actual name, is a concept album created by Jorge Rivera-Herrans, or just J for short. It's an adaptation of Homer's The Odyssey, a famously long Greek poem about the story of Odysseus, a man who after 10 years of fighting in the Trojan War spends another 10 years trying to get back home to his wife and son. Like all Greek stories, it's a pretty happy one. Epic was originally Jay's college thesis, and it was going to have the Iliad as Act 1 and the Odyssey as Act 2. As you can guess, however, Jay kinda cut the whole Iliad idea and chose to only focus on the Odyssey instead. This might surprise you, or not, I don't know, but I'm actually not that into Greek mythology. I think it's cool when it appears, but it was never something I actively looked into. And also because it's an actual religion that some people use as templates for their Tumblr stories. Most of what I know of Greek myths are just some stories that I read at school, or summaries online, or just references in media. Actually, it was mostly just references in media. I think my first ever exposure to the Odyssey proper was an episode of Arthur, where DW tells her own parody of the story. And despite it being sanitized, because it's obviously meant for kids, this moment right here, this moment always stuck with me, even when I was little. The image of DW finally making it home. But she's all alone on a plank of wood. Where are all her friends? What happened to them? What happened to her? It added a layer of tragedy to something that was just meant to be a silly parody. After that, I just heard of the Odyssey every now and then while I was at school. I wasn't told much, just that it was a very, very long story, and because of that, we weren't going to read it. It wasn't until high school where I got the chance to read the Cyclops scene. And outside of that, yeah, it was just references here and there. Like the Cyclops, the Sirens, the Trojan Horse, the Windbag, and I think that's it. Same story with the Iliad, but actually to a way lesser extent. I found out about Epic in the same way everyone else did, by scrolling through TikTok and nope, I don't even use TikTok. Oh, no. I found it through Genshin Animatics. Through freaking Genshin Animatics. Specifically this one. Okay, I lied a little. Technically, it was from all of those Just a Man edits that were floating around, but see, they never really interested me. I don't know why. I think it's just because I thought it was like one of those silly TikTok musicals, like that Ratatouille one a while back. A silly little internet project that people randomly decided to make, and there was no real creator or lead or anything behind it. Needless to say, I was wrong. Oh, so wrong. My brother was the first one to get into it, and after like a month of trying to convince me, I finally sat down and listened to the whole thing. And now, I'm enlightened. Jay truly is a master of his craft, both musically, lyrically, storyly, taking inspiration not only from Hamilton, but also other things like video games and anime. Man is just oozing with passion in every video he makes. You can really tell that this is his baby. He also had an ingenious marketing strategy of posting his progress on TikTok. I don't think he realized just how smart that idea was, but you could argue that it's the whole reason Epic is as big as it is now. It's honestly inspiring, and the fact that he was only 20 or 21 when he started this? Guys, I need to start locking in. But Pep, when are you gonna quit yapping and start talking about the damn thing? Okay, I just got caught up in the moment. Okay, first, an important message before we start. I am going to be talking about Epic, not the Odyssey. I will treat the musical as its own piece of media, so don't give me any of that, oh, but in the original, no. Unless it's a cool fun fact like Odysseus going out Steve Irwin style. Good? Good. Okay, let's start with... Epic starts strong with Odysseus and his soldiers inside of the Trojan horse, hoping that after 10 years of war, they can finally go home in peace. Odysseus hypes up his men for battle before we learn of his wife, Penelope, and his son, Telemachus, the two people, but mostly Penelope, let's be honest, that his entire character is centered around. The Horse and the Infant doesn't really have a proper intro, it just kinda starts, which I love, but I can't help but feel that this was because of the original plan of having the Iliad, like this was going to be the beginning of Act 2. This song is also the only real reference to the Iliad, at least to my knowledge. I understand why, but I do kinda wish they had a few more. I mean, 10 years is a long time. That must have stuck with you at least a little bit, right? Anyway, so the fight commences. Odysseus barely manages to escape the center before the King of the Gods. To end the war once and for all, he has to kill someone. An infant. A helpless little baby who knows nothing of the bloodshed around him. Odysseus is confused. Why a baby? He's not part of any of this. He can barely even stand. But that's not just a baby. No, this child is going to grow up. And he is going to want revenge. This moment sparks the main theme of the entire musical. The theme of ruthlessness. Zeus may seem like he's being unnecessarily cruel here, but it's not without reason. You can either kill this baby, or lose everything you hold dear. It could lead to another war, taking hundreds of more lives than if you just took this one. In that sense, there really is no right answer. Nothing you can really say is good. And that will continue to haunt this Greek hero time and time again. But as for now, Odysseus doesn't get it. He pleads to Zeus if there are other options. Adopt him, send him away, anything that doesn't involve taking a life. But Zeus stands cold. And so Odysseus is left to make his choice. He looks down at the child, remembering his own that he left back home. He must be, 10 years old now? A kid slowly approaching his tweens with no memory of his father. But Odysseus can still only imagine the infant he last saw. How could such a man take another life? But if he doesn't, calamity will surely come. And so the big questions start to come into his mind. Odysseus finally makes his decision. He takes the baby and holds it out over a wall for all of Troy to see. He pleads to the child and himself over and over again. Forgive me. Forgive me for what I'm about to do, for all of the things that I've done, and for all of the things that I will do. After all, I'm just a man. This song to me is one of the most important in the entire musical. When you first hear it, it doesn't stick out as much. Odie feels bad for murking a baby, boo-hoo. But after you hear it again, and again, and again, you start to peel back the layers. Just a Man is a deeply rich song, setting up themes and motifs that will continue to haunt Odysseus for the rest of the story. Wish I could say the same for the baby. Yeah, the infant's death isn't as involved in the story as I wish it could have been. It's mentioned 2 more times, but I wish Odysseus showed more of his guilt, especially early on in the story. Jay seemed to have planned this, judging by some of his cut songs, but I'll just make another video about those. Speaking of the infant's death, hey, look, the war is over! Yippee! Time to pack up and get everyone's butts back home. Yeah, after such a heavy opener, Full Speed Ahead is a bit of a tonal whiplash. But hey, we're still not done setting up stuff. The next thing on the menu is Odysseus' friends and his crew of 600 men. What, you already forgot how many? Don't worry, the song is going to remind you. A lot. But only 2 of them are really important for this story. The second in command, Eurylochus, and everyone's favorite twink, Polites. What do you mean his canon design is buff? Immediately, this song lets you know of the subtle tension between Odysseus and Eurylochus, which becomes very important later on. Odysseus, our good boy protagonist, wants to find food with little to no conflict. Eurylochus wants to raid an island. which is actually something that's played around with some of Jay's cut songs, where they do raid a city and bring up the infant, but I'll talk about that when I get there. Anyways, Polites is best boy, and I love him so much. Peak design, peak voice, peak character, we love him. Also, can I mention how I love how even the canon designs take the Hamilton animatic logic where all of the characters look like they're actors? It's always so cool to see. People need to do that more often. Anyway, Odysseus is still very skittish as the war just ended, but Polites is easily able to shake off the war and tries to teach his friend about the good things in life. The two have a similar back and forth as with Eurylochus a little earlier, but Odysseus is a lot more open to Polites' mindset, although not yet fully accepting of it. So Polites sings about his ideology with the most boppiest song thus far. Greet the world with open arms, and only then can we finally have peace. He is at first proven right when they encounter the Lotus Eaters, which in this story are these little bear thingies called the Winions. But Odysseus quickly realizes that the lotus they eat are basically drugs. And with that, he's able to prove his point.
That's what we'd get with open arms.
But Polites stands firm, asking the Winions if there's anything else. He says this one line that honestly makes me kinda sad.
Lotus Eaters, I'd like to show my friend that kindness is brave.
He truly believes that this is the case, and if he were part of any other story, it probably would be. Unfortunately, this is the ancient world. I'ma be honest, how Polites survived the war is beyond me. I'm sure he's more cutthroat in the original stories, but Jay, my guy, did this man have a secret dark side, or is it one of those failing upwards type things? Anywho, the Winions direct them to a scary cave, which, Polites, I love you, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, but maybe you should start looking for those red flags. Doesn't matter anyway, cause Odysseus seems to be having a change of heart. Sure, the Winions are strange and drugged out, but they listened and answered kindly, even while he threatened them. Maybe Polites is right. I find it interesting how in here, Odysseus has to learn to have open arms. He was definitely kind before, but also didn't hesitate to kill if the situation was necessary. I think most narratives would have him be more like Polites from the very start, but I actually like this decision. He's caught between these two worlds, not leaning one way or the other, and he doesn't even realize it. But as for right now, he's leaning towards Polites. But you know who is not a fan of that? Athena. Yeah, turns out the god of war is Odysseus' teacher and friend. Wait, not friend? Okay. Well, here Athena chastises Odysseus for his change of heart. Her words are harsh, almost villain-like. Immediately you can sense an oppressive force. But then you learn a little about their past. A young Odysseus who once passed a test that she placed, inadvertently becoming her student. His elation and fanboyish rambles about Athena seem to amuse the goddess, but her distance is immediate once he brings up the idea of being friends. At this point, Athena only sees him as a tool, her little soldier she can use to fulfill her deeds. But I also think there's more to that. See, Athena is not only the god of war, but the god of strategic war, as in, she does what needs to be done for the sake of the larger plan. And if that means distancing herself from any and all attachment, then she'll do it. On the subject of that, this harshness emphasizes the depressing element of the previous song. Which side will our hero inevitably swing? The side of the kind, compassionate friend who nearly ate laced lotus? Or the cold mentor who hides any hint of emotion? The Troy Saga is as perfect of an introduction as one could get. It actually surprises me how much Jay was able to pack in and set up with these 5 songs alone. The main characters, the themes, the motivations, the dynamics, the goals. This is how you start a story. And it only makes revisiting these songs all the more worth it, especially Open Arms, which you realize carries a sadness even as a standalone track. Unfortunately, with its focus on moving the story forward, I can't help but feel like some things have been left behind. Like the effect of the infant, and even Polites' character. Polites is supposed to be Odysseus' best friend, but because Open Arms is the only real song he's in, I'd argue that title fits a little more with Eurylochus, even with their tension. And, of course, the Trojan War in general. At least a few mentions here and there would be helpful, because the first two songs kind of feel like they just happened, and that was it. I mean, 10 years is a very, very long time. I doubt you could just forget it. But aside from that, the Troy Saga is an incredible opener before the story really begins in...
Hey Cyclops! When we met, I led with peace, while you fed your inner beast.
Odysseus and his men enter the scary cave and find a big old flock of sheep. Eurylochus is impressed, Polites is still being his sunshine good boy self, but Odysseus is like, a large number of farm animals held in a place that's not natural to them? Methinks these sheep might belong to someone. Didn't stop them from killing the sheep, though. And oh, would you look at that? They did belong to someone. And that someone is a Cyclops. This entire song is so interesting to me because this is actually the only part of the Odyssey that I've actually read back in high school. So seeing it in a musical format is such a cool way for me to contrast the two. Anyway, so Polyphemus, yes, I'm using his government name, finds his dead sheep surrounded by a bunch of strangers in his house. A frightening situation indeed. So he responded in the most natural way one could, by singing a really catchy verse about wanting to kill them all. Odysseus is like, whoops, sorry, we didn't know these sheep belonged to someone even though it was really freaking obvious. Hey, do you want some wine? Polyphemus takes the wine, and thus occurs one of my favorite parts of the entire song.
My name is Nobody, Nobody, Nobody.
Jay's wonderful high notes, Odysseus' overconfidence, how it lingers to really sink into the moment. It's so good. It makes one of the most memorable moments in the Odyssey even more memorable to me. But uh-oh, the wine didn't work. Cue a fight scene with anime references. Odysseus yells out orders on how to fight Polyphemus, again showing his intellect. An intellect far superior than that of Cyclops, who is really only fighting out of retaliation. But who cares? There's 600 lives Odysseus has to protect, and all they have to do is kill one more person. One more person. Actually, if you listen closely to the melody Odysseus sings here, it's actually the same one Zeus sings in The Horse and the Infant. My brothers, the rest of our fleet, they wait at the beach, and if we're defeated, we're good as dead. Straight ahead, a vision of what is to come cannot be outdone, can only be dealt with right here and now. Tell me how. So the fight scene goes on and on and on, and ooh, Polites is dead. And so are many others. But it's okay, Polyphemus passed out. And he's covering the entrance. Great. Oh, and it turns out Odysseus spiked his drink. Yeah, no, they're screwed. Even in the face of his best friend's death, Odysseus chooses to move forward. In his mind, it is to ensure the death of his comrades will mean something. A mindset that will be tested later on. Now that Polyphemus has been properly drugged, they have to move him so they can escape, and Odysseus chooses to... blind him. Odie, my guy, you're really not helping your open arms case here. But at least now we know why he said his name was Nobody. If nobody hurts you, be silent. Don't go! Ooh, yeah, that's not good either. Athena seems to know this, and orders Odysseus to kill the Cyclops. But Odysseus refuses. You can literally hear her anger when the piano ramps up. Like, is this man really that dense? This may sound weird, but their argument seems kinda like a reflection of Open Arms, where it's Athena's realistic cautiousness clashing with Odysseus, who's still clinging on to the idealism that Polites provided. Neither of them are in the wrong at what to do, but really it's all about the situation. And in this specific situation, Athena's kinda right. Odysseus is smart, no doubt about that, but sometimes his intelligence can lead to more people getting killed. Was that too soon? But as for now, Odysseus is very much not happy. To him, Athena is just another god telling him to kill another innocent victim. And after 10 years of war, man is done. Done with Athena, and done with dealing with Polyphemus in any intelligent manner. And so, to spite them both, the man who's been nothing but the cautious and cunning leader since the start of the story will commit the one mistake that will turn this 10-year journey into 20.
I am the infamous Odysseus!
Fun fact, this is actually the first time Odysseus' name is ever said. No, I'm serious. It took me until my third or fourth listen to actually notice it, but it is. It's also the first time that you learn that he is the king of Ithaca. Obviously, most people already know this, but in a thematic sense, this is really smart. You spend all of this time not really knowing who this man is, and once you do, it's by his own arrogance. It's so good. It's so freaking good. Athena is mad. And with good reason, too. Her student, whom she trained from his youth, her warrior, her friend, just doxed himself. No, he can't do that. Didn't he see what Polyphemus just did? Odysseus didn't reveal his name when he and Athena first met. Why would he do that now? Was it all just to spite her? To get back at the god who not only helped him survive, but also helped him get his wife? The Just of Man motif comes back as a reminder of Odysseus' true conflict. Does he kill the Cyclops whose home he invaded? Or does he let the crippled, blinded beast live? How should he know? He's just a man who wants to go home. And so, Athena takes her leave. The Cyclops Saga is probably one of the saddest sagas to me. It finishes Odysseus' mini-arc of turning towards the good side as he's ever more tired of the cruelty that surrounds him. And the worst part is that this is only the beginning. It doesn't take long for this mistake to catch up to him. In fact, the weight is so little, it's felt immediately in... Do you want to know something even sadder? Throughout this entire saga, Ithaca is right there. I can't tell if they can actually see it or if it's just a week away, but it's definitely portrayed as close, which only makes the following events that much more fun. Their home is right around the corner, but wait, there's a really strange storm going on. And I mean really strange. Almost like it's blocking the way home. Intentionally. I'm sure it means nothing. Odysseus certainly seems to think so. Most of the song is really just Odie giving directions while Eurylochus disagrees, continuing the tension that'll keep building in the next few songs. An island in the sky appears before them. And here is where the differences between Odysseus and Eurylochus really come to the forefront. Odysseus, now really clinging on to the open arms mentality, is planning to talk to the wind god for help, while Eurylochus warns against making deals with gods. Eurylochus may seem to be the one in the right here, but it makes sense for Odysseus' perspective as well. This man was literally mentored under the god of war, and he had no problem chatting with Zeus in the first song, so he probably thinks he has some kind of special connection with gods. But that's not exactly what Eurylochus is worried about. Their captain's intelligence has helped them survive through war, as Odie loves to remind them, but recently that smartness hasn't exactly helped them very much. What if his attempts to weasel out of problems only cause more? What if there's a point where no amount of wits can help him? Odysseus, on the other hand, doesn't understand. He just spent the last 2 sagas having his mini-arc about moving away from violence, and now his other friend wants him to backtrack? It was his intelligence that got him his wife, helped him through war, and survived the encounter with the Cyclops. What do you mean it'll get them in trouble? This song is a very complicated back and forth, because you can totally understand where both sides are coming from. These 2 men are still grappling with everything that just happened, and each of them is trying to make sure that doesn't happen again. They are so close to Ithaca. So close. Odysseus finally climbs to the island in the sky, and some really nice woodwinds start playing. Really nice.
Great wind god Aeolus, I don't know if you know this, but our path to home is blocked by an impenetrable storm.
Anywho, here we meet the god of winds, Aeolus. And I'm pretty sure they were supposed to be male because Odysseus refers to them as such, but the actor they got is female. Just a thing I noticed. Immediately, we see that Aeolus is playful, cheeky, and just a tad chaotic. She sees Odysseus' predicament as nothing more than yet another Greek hero trying to do hero things, which is a trend you'll notice with a lot of the gods here. And so, she gives him the very important task of keeping a windbag closed. It's really simple, not that hard to fulfill. But, right as he's about to tell his crew what's up, the little freaks tell everyone it's treasure. Yeah, I don't think Odie's at fault here. But somehow, this man is able to keep the bag closed for 9 whole days by not sleeping. That doesn't sound that good. But they're so close to Penelope, the woman he loves more than anything in the world, and Telemachus, the boy he never knew but still has time to raise. What do they think of him after all this time? Do they still love him? Would they still love him after such a long absence? Sure, Telemachus doesn't know him, but Penelope surely does. She has to. After all, he's the same man, right? And then, someone opened the bag. We all know who did it. And I'll talk about that when we get to the Thunder Saga. You're not safe from me, Eucalyptus. Anyway, the next song pretty much immediately tells you what it's about. And Poseidon is mad. Turns out that Polyphemus, the Cyclops, turns out that was his son. And Poseidon ain't too happy that his son was left in the state he's in. And since Odysseus basically revealed everything about himself, he wasn't too hard to find. Now, many people find it odd that Poseidon is mad that Odysseus left his son alive. Like, shouldn't that be something he's happy about? See, something people have to understand is that back then, it was seen as more honorable to die than to surrender like a coward. And since Odysseus left Polyphemus blinded, drugged, and alone, maybe death was seen as the more merciful option. Or better yet, he should have just never entered the cave. Polites, I love you, but your good boy energy was just too easy to exploit. Whether or not you agree with this, Poseidon certainly does, and oh boy will he make that known. It's at this point where the main theme of Epic finally comes to the forefront. It's literally the title of the song. Ruthlessness. Odysseus wants to be the righteous, merciful leader to atone for his life of war, and while many of his actions are done with good intentions, he fails to realize the flaws in said righteousness. And Poseidon is damn near sick of it. He taunts Odysseus with his own ideals, that only through closing your heart can you truly save yourself. Of course, Odysseus apologizes, but that apology, that's nearing on the YouTuber level. The results? Bad. Do you remember how many men were under Odysseus' leadership? 600. It was 600 men. 600 folks he was meant to take back home. I remember that when I first saw this, I was literally left jaw-dropped. We didn't know any of these men, they were all background characters. But it's the constant repetition of 600 men, and Odysseus' promise to take them home, and the fact that they were so close to home. You may not care for them, but Odysseus does. So this loss is devastating. And it only gets worse if you know how it ends. Poseidon taunts him one last time with those same lines he said to Polyphemus in his own arrogant mercy. Odysseus is able to escape, but the consequences are deeply felt. The Ocean Saga marks the point in the story where Odysseus is confronted with the reality of this journey. It'll be cruel, it'll be hellish, and the only way to survive is to be cruel and hellish back. But this clashes with what Odysseus wants to be. He's had to be the stoic warrior for so long, but he just wants to be that joyful young man again, to be the man his wife fell in love with again. Zeus, Athena, Poseidon, and even Eurylochus on some level, they all seem cruel and unfeeling on the surface, and okay, maybe Zeus is, but you get my point. When you really think about it, none of what they're saying is wrong in a practical sense. But don't get it twisted, Odysseus is not in the wrong either. It's admirable, in fact, how he wants to live a life of mercy after a merciless 10 years. The problem, at least for now, is how he uses that mercy, more specifically with Polyphemus. His display of mercy wasn't done out of a genuine desire to teach him a lesson, but as a way to prove his superiority. Like, look at how much better I am than you. Look at how more courteous and merciful I am. Oh, your life just got ruined? That's what you get for being a monster. Well, yes, in a moral sense, Odysseus is telling the truth, but it also blinds him to the serious danger he's placed in. But now Odysseus is starting to have some doubts. What if everyone around him is right? What if mercy isn't the right thing to do? Thankfully, that leads us to
a woman.
What?
She had us in just 2 words.
Come inside.
Damn.
Oh my god, thank you all so much for making it to the end of this video. I was originally planning for this analysis to only be a 2-parter, but I actually had way more things to say than I thought I would. Epic is truly one of those pieces that is so rich with layers of storytelling and music and details. You never have the same experience twice with this one. Also, look at this cool little Polites art I made. Look at it. My pure little sunshine good boy. Oh, and look at these other pieces too. This musical makes me so normal, guys. So tell me, what are your favorite songs from the first 3 sagas? For me, I'd say it's Open Arms, My Goodbye, and Keep Your Friends Close. And yeah, I think that's all I got for now. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you all next time. I look into your eyes, and I think back to the sun of mine. You're as old as he was when I left for war. Will these actions haunt my days? Every man I've slain is the price I pay. Endless pain. Close your eyes and spare yourself the view. How could I hurt you?